Yes, ma'am.
What were the questions that you had about the indictments? You said that you thought people had a lot of questions about the indictments on the Alabama legislature that you wanted to talk to Holder about. What were those questions?
People wanting to know what is specifically going on in Alabama with the indictments that are being handed down by the Justice Department. They know that it's related to gambling. Most of the people know, especially over in Greene County, in Utah, Alabama, for example, they know that it's related to gambling. And people want to know why their legislators would not allow the issue of legalized gambling in Alabama to be put on the ballot. But instead, they have been misled to believe that some of the politicians in Alabama for the state legislature have been saying, well, we want a clean bill, or we want this, or we want that's put into these things before we will put it to the people. But the people want to have gambling put on a referendum and let the people vote on it, decide. It's been done in the past, and it should be done now. But there are politicians, obviously in Alabama, in the state politicians, who want to perhaps line their pockets, feather their nest, and withhold from the people making the final decision. People are wanting to know what specifically is going on. How do these indictments that have been handed down, how does it impact on the average Alabamian? That's what they want to know.
What were some of the other questions you had for either the Attorney General or the White House or EPA?
Well, the EPA, for example, is what's being done specifically to address the issues of the health of the residents along the Gulf Coast in Baldwin County, Mobile area, with the illnesses that are arising. And what is the EPA doing specifically to check the safety of the Gulf, the seafood industry, for example? In other regards, with the Attorney General Holder, what is going on with the appointments that have been held up in Washington for Obama's folks that he's selected to take over as attorney generals, assistant attorney generals in areas such as Montgomery and perhaps Mobile. What's being done by the Justice Department to ensure that there is a smooth and unbiased transition with these folks? And are there secret holds within the United States Senate chambers that are precluding these presidential activities from taking place? The people want to know. And they're being denied this knowledge.
Well, if I could quickly follow up, you're just not asking for reports because they issue announcements and reports all the time. What were you looking for besides the standard issue of news announcement that, again, both EPA and the Justice Department issue announcements? To take EPA, weren't you concerned about the possibility that the public is not getting all of the information about things like long-term health hazards?
Yes, yes. What are the long-term health hazards? Has the EPA, for example, identified any long-term health hazards? What is the impact on the oil spills or the dispersants that were used on the seafood industry there? We have probably hundreds of thousands of folks along the Gulf Coast whose livelihoods depend upon the seafood industry. How safe is the seafood industry after the Gulf oil spill? It's a major concern because it's still impacting the seafood industry. Those folks whose livelihoods depend on the seafood industry and have for centuries.
Well, if I could just follow up another little bit. You're a Democrat. You were asking tough questions of other Democrats. And I'm sure that made you a little bit uncomfortable, but how and why did you do that? Or how did you feel about doing that?
I had no reservations at all inquiring for the people of Alabama to these individual office holders that have been appointed by President Obama. The U.S. Senate is a very powerful organization within our government structure that report to the people more so than the Attorney General position does. When the Attorney General is under the President, the office of the President, the Senate represents the people. Members of Congress represent the people. And it's the members of Congress, both in the House and the Senate, who should be asking the difficult questions of these elected official appointees. And to discover, to be able to report back to their constituents precisely what is transpiring in the government process at any given point in time. And when the people demand answers, they should be given the answers. But we have today somewhat of a lessening in our media where, for example, newspapers are being challenged by the internet. There's no doubt about it that numbers of reporters are declining, and it's having an impact upon our population and the information that the people receive. And they being the people, are going to be even more dependent upon folks such as myself, if elected to the United States Senate, to report back to the people in updates as to what specifically impacts them from their government seat here in Washington, D.C.